everyone, and welcome to the first upload on my channel. This channel is going to solely focus on FIFA 22 content. I'm talking gameplay highlights, general FIFA chit chat, that kind of stuff. I'll explain more about this in a future video going forwards for FIFA 22, but this video is going to focus on our OP Premier League team. A few things to consider before I get into this video is that I built this team before any databases or anything like that had been leaked. That therefore means that all of these cards are not official and they're all designed and made by yours truly. As this is my first ever video, it has taken quite a while to make, so subscribe to the channel if you like what you see, would be very greatly appreciated. And if you don't like what you see, then dislike it. Leave a comment telling me what you didn't like and I'll look to improve it in the future. Now that you're bored of hearing the sound of my voice, let's get into the players. Starting off with the 6'3" legend of FIFA 21, it is of course Nick Pope. Nick Pope was well renowned for being ridiculous last year, and I expect him to have a similar year in FIFA 22. Pope has the comes of crosses and saves a feat trait in FIFA 21, and I think he will definitely keep those traits and potentially add to those for FIFA 22. In terms of price, keepers are never expensive, so this would be a good early game option. The only weakness I could see with Pope is the lack of reactions in game, but he would still be a top tier card. Moving on to the defenders, and the first of the centre-backs is Ozan Kabak. Kabak is a 6'1" monster. He was in the Premier League for FIFA 21, but he joined in the January transfer window, making him redundant in terms of FIFA. However, this could be the year of Kabak, especially as a cheaper option for those Premier League teams. Power header trait also should be a good goal threat too, provided from corners makes him very useful for it, and I expect him to be there around the meta early game. I'm rolling back the years with this one now, but I'm going with Eric Bailly. If you played FIFA 17, you knew how much of an issue this man was. Now this card will not be near that level, but again, for a Premier League starter / overpowered side, he will do a great job. Only issues I see are the lack of any noticeable traits, and if injuries turn out to be a big thing this year, then he could be a problem. But for now, I think he's a solid option that is going under the radar. This man will cost you a pretty penny, but he will most certainly be worth it. Konate is a man mountain coming in at a whopping 6'4", which means his aerial ability and reach are going to be absolutely insane in game. Then you combine that with solid pace and good defending physical, and oh my, what a centre back we have here, ladies and gentlemen. The only issues are again, sadly, that he has no traits, and that he is a confirmed one to watch card as well. So if you do want to get him in ASAP before he goes out of packs on October the 1st. On to the left backs now, and what a start to the season it has been for Tsimikas and Liverpool. Again, this is another cheaper option for those starter squads, and he looks incredibly well balanced. The traits are nothing special, but I wouldn't be surprised if EA added an early crosser trait to this man for FIFA 22. A Greek magician, and I think he's going to carry on a great start to FIFA for him. From one iconic club to another, Firpo has joined Leeds in the summer transfer window, and I think this could be a great bit of business for Leeds. Unlike Tsimikas, Firpo has that early crosser trait, and I expect him to see a lot in the early days of FIFA 22 due to that Spanish link-up from the Premier League. The hybridising options are incredible with this man. Onto the other side of defence, and I could not leave out a Tottenham player for this team, as I am a Tottenham Hotspur fan. It's another former Barcelona player, and Emerson could be a real solid starter player with good pace and very well-rounded defensive stats. He adds that Brazilian flavour, you know, like je ne sais quoi to your defence, and he also has that long shot taker trait, for some unknown reason. Definitely one to have on your radar, especially if you like shooting from 30 yards out with a right back. Not going to blame you if you do. But I think the more solid option is Vladimir Kufal. He's a Czech Republic sensation who lit up the Premier League last year, and he will be rewarded with this lovely card for FIFA 22. Early crosser is the standout of this man's traits, but he also boasts a long throwing trait. Imagine if this was better, by the way, they'd be absolutely disgusting. And the solid player trait as well. Great pickup, 10 out of 10, get him in your teams. Moving on to the midfielders now, and this is your prime example of a box-to-box general. Basuma is a great player in real life, and I expect this to be rewarded in FIFA 22 with a nice upgrade. His traits are also very good, with both flair and long shot taker being the standouts. Again, this is nothing that will slip under the. This is another card that will slip under the radar for those starter squads. And speaking of slipping under the radar, I think the whole world might have forgotten that this man existed. It is Morgan Sanson from Aston Villa. This guy was a go-to starter for those League One teams back in the day, and he's another fantastic option for those box-to-box midfield generals. You couple his great overall stats with a surprise outside the foot shot trait, and this card looks very, very nasty for FIFA 22. In terms of CDMs, I could only think of one man. He lit up the biggest stage in the summer, and whilst he won't be on the front page of the FIFA 22, he would most definitely be more involved this time around. I'm expecting a huge overall upgrade to this man, making him ideal midfield general. In terms of traits, the most notable for me has to be that long passer trait. I expect switches of play to be a doddle with Calvin Phillips, as he looks to be a great deep line playmaker for FIFA 22. One for the Gunner fans out there, Smith Rowe had a meteoric rise last year, resulting in his gem of a FIFA 22 card. I believe we want to look out for early on again, as there seems to be zero hype around him this year. His traits are nothing special, but I expect more to be added in this iteration of the game, as this little star continues to be one of Arsenal's few shining lights in the Premier League. Now this man has to be one of my few favourite cards on this list. I can't pronounce him apparently. Vlasic looks insane for those early game builds. Great pace for a cam, and combine it with that long shot taker trait. Apparently I've lost the ability to speak, ladies and gentlemen. I think this card could be problematic for FIFA 22. It will be slightly more expensive due to that pace, but in game he'll be worth every single penny that you pay. Moving on to the wingers now, and we start with an Asian treat, ladies and gents, in Takumi Minamino. Now, I apologise for the card being at Southampton, that's an error on my part, but he should be a real force going into 22. And again, his only issue being the lack of any outstanding traits. But again, zero hype on this card, further increases the chance of you picking him up on a great price. Where's this man been over the last 12 months? I remember the hype surrounding this man, but it just hasn't happened for him yet in Newcastle. Despite the inevitable downgrade though, I think Ryan Fraser will be acute for your early game teams. Holding good pace and general lovely overall stats, he's another one that I would try to get my hands on for those early rivals and squad battle games, and look at those traits as well. Finesse shot, flair, this man is going to be fantastic early game. Things are starting to heat up now as we see the rapid Portuguese winger Daniel Podence appear on your screens, and it won't be for the first time this year. The man had a breakout season with Wolves, and we were rewarded with a nice upgrade on his previous rendition. Oh, and if you have traits, you aren't going to get more. If you have traits, you aren't going to get much more bang for your buck than Podence. Outside the foot and flair are just standard for this man. My only gripe would be his physicality. Do not expect this man to hold his own in a physical contest, because he will be made twigs in game. But with that pace, do you care? I don't, and I know you don't. Well, this will be a problem. Leon Bailey is now in the Premier League and looks better than ever before. He will light up defences early game, and especially with the potential of a strong link to a Player of the Month Antonio. I'm already afraid, ladies and gentlemen. But don't worry, if the raw pace doesn't scare you, then maybe the fact that he has flair and outside the foot shot traits might do. He will by far be the most experienced player I have mentioned today, but who cares, he is a must in my opinion for FIFA 22. FIFA 21 may be gone, but Hwang Chan will never be forgotten. The early one-to-watch GOAT is back for another round of cheesy rebound goals and managerial masterpiece stomping sessions. He doesn't have any traits, but he's Hwang Chan. Enough said. Look to get him in. Another dynamite striker enters the Premier League for FIFA 22. Emmanuel Dennis will be a handful for your defence's early game. Coupled with some decent physicality stats and just sheer raw pace, he'll be one to keep an eye on in those early game teams. To end the video off, we have Haaland's successor at Red Bull Salzburg, Patson Daka. He was a goal machine at Salzburg, and I'm expecting this to transition well into the FIFA 22 scene as well. This man will not only be fast, but agile too, which is never great for defences. Expect ankles to be broken by Patson within the first week of FIFA 22. Again, sadly no standout traits, but a whole lot of ability for this Zambian star. And that is my OP Premier League team. I believe this team will range from 100 to 130,000 coins, but this will only decrease over time, so the longer you wait, the cheaper it will become. Thank you so much for watching, and if you do use this team in FUT Champions, then let me know how you get on, or you might be using it in squad battles or rivals. I'd be really intrigued to know how you do get on with this team. Like I said, thank you very much for watching. I've been Lord W, and I'll see your gorgeous faces next time. And you are my knights in shining armour. Take care.